My dad used to always say this. Tiger, he called me. You're a good talker. Good talkers are usually good arguers. But most of the employment decisions in your life will be decided when you're not in the room. Be good to people. It'll matter. And that's a lot about life. It's inches, not feet, that decides careers and legacies. And it shouldn't be that way, right? You work hard, but it is. Take the Boston Celtics. In November and December and January, this team was struggling with a new coach. And there were strong rumors from credible sources. Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown were going to be broken up. I mean, hey, what had they done? Seriously, why not? Philadelphia looked better. I mean, Brooklyn just got thrown together. Miami was playing well. I mean, what are these guys giving us? They're trying to pay all these guys a lot of money. Real rumors, real sources. And the players heard it. I'll get to that in a second. But think about this. If the Celtics win Game 7, tied at 100, final shot, win the finals. Or game tied at 100, Game 7 with the Warriors, miss, they come down and hit, lose, it changes the arc of careers, it changes reputations, it changes money. Nobody talks about the loser of an NBA Finals. You're just a loser. Nobody talks about the bronze and silver medals in the Olympics. You're just a loser. It's the way our sports work. Inches, not feet. Think about this. Jerry Seinfeld is the richest comedian in American history, and it's not particularly close. He worked with Larry David, a wildly influential comedian and mostly writer. Curb Your Enthusiasm and Seinfeld, two massive comedy hits. Julie Louis-Dreyfus created Veep, one of my favorite comedies of all time on HBO. Those are three powerhouse, massively influential comedic voices in America. Massive. Brandon Tartikoff, after 1 year, the head of NBC, wanted to cancel the show. Warren Littlefield, you've probably seen him as a character in a couple movies before, like this story's been told before, right? He was the head of development. Very rarely does the head of development argue with the president of a network, and Brandon Tartikoff was the most influential person in network television at the time. Brandon Tartikoff, he was on the cover of magazines. He was the genius. He goes, oh, I'm done with it. And Warren Littlefield convinced him the show about nothing was really going to be something. Just another year, it changed everything. Otherwise, Larry David is it David Larry or Larry David? Julie Louis-Dreyfus is probably happy in her life, but she doesn't make Veep. And Jerry Seinfeld isn't worth $900 million. He's probably at the comedy club on Sunset this weekend. That's the difference. Inches, not feet. That is not taking anything away from those brilliant people. But that happens a lot. Let's say the Celtics lose. Oh, they'll get back. Interesting. KD, Westbrook, and Harden never did. Didn't necessarily get that close. Let's say the Celtics lose. Well, Milwaukee, Chris Middleton returns. That's a really good culture. Miami, like they always do, already good now. Took them 7 games. They'll add a piece. Players like to play in the winter near aqua water. Let's look at Philadelphia. They have a deal-making GM. Maxey continues to grow. Embiid stays healthy. Also, if you're the Celtics, Al Horford's about to be 36, and Robert Williams struggles with health. You'd lose your 2 bigs potentially going into the playoffs. Oklahoma City had Durant, one of the great players ever, Harden, a Hall of Fame talent, and Westbrook will make the Hall of Fame. Got to the finals, never got back. One guy didn't get along. One guy wanted more money. It is a salary cap league. Tatum and Brown, there were discussions as this team was under 500 in January to break it up. Remember, even great teams in the NBA, they don't last long. In the NFL, they last longer. New England lasted 20 years. Steelers, when I was a kid in the 70s, lasted seemingly forever. They were good. The Cowboys with Landry were good forever. I think the pressure's on the Celtics. Draymond Green got his money, got his rings, going to be in the Hall of Fame. Steph Curry got his monies, ring, Hall of Fame. Klay Thompson, check, check, check. Steve Kerr getting in the Hall of Fame. All of those legacies are cemented. The money, the rings, the legacies cemented. Now let's flip it and say the Celtics win and beat the Warriors. Now it changes everything. Could be one shot. Now Brooklyn, starts to get really impatient. Okay, this is embarrassing. Those guys and that chemistry are beating us. Kyrie's done. Daryl Morey, Embiid gets hurt again. We're making a big deal. You start changing who the pressure's on. Milwaukee sits there and thinks, okay, now these guys have a championship. They're better than us defensively. Jaylen Brown's now averaging 24. Maybe Milwaukee overreacts, moves a player, brings somebody in, ruins the chemistry. How long can Brook Lopez be there? Remember, they weren't as good without Lopez this year. You think all this stuff, it's big gaps. Yes, Shaq and Kobe were way better. And Michael Jordan, absolutely. And Belichick and Brady would have won in any era. But this Boston team is pretty good. When Marcus Smart scores, they're really good. But everything could change. The pressure is on this team. It's inches in life, not feet. It is a single catch and a touchdown in a big game. It is one shot that falls. Kyrie Irving against the Warriors. It's single decisions by a coach. It changes bank accounts, legacies, everything. And Jayson Tatum said yesterday, we heard the rumors. We heard that we were going to get broken up. We weren't very good. I'll take the Warriors in 6 because I think Boston's lack of experience is a thing and the pressure is on the Celtics, but can't wait starts Thursday. So I am often viewed as Mr. Negative with Baker Mayfield. I think it's unfair, but I've said a lot of things that end up on YouTube and aren't that complimentary. Let me flip it. Today, I finally found a place for Baker Mayfield, and I actually think he could be really successful. So I saw a story yesterday about Jameis Winston of the Saints, OTAs limping around. Remember, he tore an ACL last year? He wasn't a great athlete to begin with, and he's always been perpetually goofy. But Baker Mayfield and his agent should really try to get to New Orleans, and I'll tell you why. Number one, they've already moved Taysom Hill, I think, smartly out of the quarterback room. Drew Brees, Taysom Hill, come on, give me a break. No, that was a Sean Payton idea. Maybe Sean Payton can make it work. Now they have a defensive coach. They've moved Taysom Hill out of the quarterback room. Number two, really is all in on Jameis. He's always been, Jameis. I mean, let's be honest. He went 7-9. They brought in Brady, and they won the Super Bowl. That was not a great day in his career. So there's a lot of doubters with Jameis Winston, and now he's limping around. Number three is Saints are actually an effective quarterback away from in the NFC making the playoffs. It's a bad division, and they have a real defense. I mean, they want to win now. Atlanta, we know what they're doing. Carolina, we kind of know what they're doing. Saints aren't in a rebuild. Maybe they'd be in a rebuild if you put them in the AFC West or the NFC West. In that division, that's not a rebuild. This is not a team that's going to go 4-13 and 5-12, especially if you got Baker Mayfield. And what's really important is to see around the corners, and I think Baker and his people probably know this. Tom Brady, this is the last year. I mean, it feels like it, right? There are multiple stories out there that he was going to go to the Dolphins and be a co-owner. He's done. Like this offseason. It's a lot of golf. It's a lot of branding. It's not a lot of football. Last couple years, a little less football in the offseason. A little more fun. Tom's moving on. Okay, so that means if you acquire Baker Mayfield with that defense in a weak division with two other teams rebuilding, in 1 year, Baker's the best quarterback. And you say to yourself, well, you never liked him anyway. No, I think he needs to grow up. But let me give an example. The Chargers in San Diego at the time bailed on Brees. He found the culture that bought into him. Well, he's not Brees. Here's some interesting numbers. Here's the numbers for Baker Mayfield in Cleveland and Drew Brees with the Chargers. They are virtually identical. You didn't know Drew Brees was great either until he was surrounded by really good O-lines and great defenses. You didn't know he would be that. I don't think Baker is as good a thrower as Drew Brees. I don't think he's quite as committed or as focused or as accurate, but Baker can play. Baker's absolutely a top 25 quarterback in this league, but at the time Brees moved over, we didn't think he was a top 15 quarterback. Chargers gave up on him for Phillip Rivers. Just something to think about. This one works. Carolina really doesn't. It really doesn't work because their owner, the billionaire, he wants Super Bowls. And I don't think Baker's a Super Bowl quarterback, and I think they're rebuilding. But New Orleans has a reputation of drafting really well and giving their quarterbacks a lot to work with. And now that Jameis Winston is limping around, it's not exactly like everybody's all in on Jameis, and Taysom Hill's out of the room. And this is going to be too good of a team in New Orleans to go 5-12 or 4-13. And in my opinion, probably way too good, even with Jameis Winston, to go like 6-11. So you're not going to get Bryce Young. You're not going to get Stroud at Ohio State. You're not going to be in that class. There's too many bad teams out there, and I can name them right now. 2 of them in your division, Atlanta, Carolina. Baker to the Saints makes a ton of sense. And by the way, the Browns roster is very good. They don't need a ton. What they could probably use, because they're getting kind of expensive, is a draft pick or 2. You know, this isn't the NBA where salaries have to match. Browns could use some draft picks because they're going to pay their new quarterback, I don't know, $1 zillion all guaranteed in a really tough division. What they need is to make sure that great quarterback has weapons, and they're a little shaky at wide receiver. So to me, this works. It's very positive. I hope I have pivoted off my negative Baker brand into Mr. Glass Half Full, Mr. Sunshine for Baker Mayfield. But I think his career would be, to some level, reborn. It's a reboot. It's a good organization. It's a weak division. Brady retires. Best quarterback. May not last long. Atlanta may get the number 1 pick. But that makes sense to me. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd, or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.